What's going on, everyone? It is Sunday, so you know what it's time for. It's time for our fragrance rotation series. We're going to be talking about some new fragrance pickups that I've got this past week and stuff that I just can't stop wearing. So stick around, make yourself comfortable, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone, it's Eli with Common Sense. It is great to have you, and we are in week 11. It's crazy, I've been doing this for 11 weeks. Week 11 of our fragrance rotation series. And normally what I do is before we start the video, I'd have you put down in the comments some of your fragrances that you've been wearing, some recommendations, anything that you have on the way. But I want to try something a little bit new. I want to spice it up. So I want you guys to recommend me a fragrance for me to wear this upcoming week. And if I have it in my collection, I'm going to search through everything. I'm going to comb through, and if I have the fragrance, I'm going to wear it and I'm going to report back next week and I'll give you guys my thoughts on the fragrance. I feel like that's going to be a cool way to kind of work my way through some of the fragrances in my collection and also just get to know your guys' tastes. So let's just jump into it. On Monday, I decided to go with a really strong, powerful, just uplifting, office-friendly fragrance. And this one is Lattafa Pride Art of Arabia 1. Now this one, it has a beautiful blend of citrus aquatic with a nice bit of sweet, kind of warm spice. And so there's, I feel like a nutmeg or some beautiful, just ambery quality in this, but there's like a really refreshing lemon grapefruit, so it's very citrusy in the opening. You also have some like green tea and some ambergris or ambroxan in here that make it smell very masculine, very mass pleasing, and perfect for the office. God, this stuff smells amazing. It's like a green herbal tea. It's a little bit herbal, but it's very bright, it's sweet, and it really does just check all of the boxes in a fragrance. And this one gives me confidence, especially for the Monday mornings. And so that one was Lattafa Pride Art of Arabia 1. And I do want to say it is similar to Louis Vuitton's Imagination. So if you like that fragrance, check this one out. I actually went out of town Monday evening. I went on a work trip and I decided to pack one of my favorite out of town business fragrances. And that one is Afnan's Turathi Blue. This Bulgari Tiger DNA is one of my favorites. I feel like I just get stuff done whenever I wear it, and it really does just put me at ease. It's got a beautiful citrusy opening. It's got like a grapefruit kind of mandarin opening. It's got a little bit of vetiver, and it just smells extremely, extremely mass pleasing. If you don't own this fragrance and you're looking for a good, just blue, fresh fragrance that you want, you can wear it basically anywhere, and you have about, 20 or 30 bucks to spend. Get this one, no questions about it. Get Turathi Blue because it is one of the best summer, just fresh fragrances, and it's always in my rotation. I'm always just picking up and smelling the bottle. But that one is Afnan Turathi Blue. And then the next day, I ended up going with a fragrance. I've only worn it probably a handful of times, and I absolutely love this bottle. This one is John Varvatos Artisan XX. So this is that really cool kind of platinum metallic looking bottle on the outside. It does have that really cool artistic John Varvatos Artisan bottle, the kind of hand woven basket look, but man, I absolutely love this fragrance. It reminds me of that original John Varvatos Artisan fragrance. It's got that kind of neroli, that really cool mandarin, and it's got some really, really interesting just spring kind of floral notes in here, but this adds a ton of pepper and some amber in here and some musks. So this basically takes that original John Varvatos Artisan DNA, that really nice spring kind of citrusy vetiver fragrance, and it ramps up the vetiver like by a lot in this fragrance. So it reminds me a lot of Tom Ford's gray vetiver, and I think, even the bottle being gray, I think that kind of maybe a subtle nod to them. But yeah, it just smells like gray vetiver with a ton more of musk and ambergris. It's very modern, and it's a perfect office fragrance, and you can still get it for a decent price. I think you can get it for around 40 bucks or so. And that one is John Varvatos Artisan XX. Tuesday night, I went with a really cool fragrance. This one is from the house of Is Elijah, and this one is Eau. I've been trying to wear this one every couple weeks or so and just pick it up because it's not the cheapest fragrance. It is from a more niche house, but I gotta say, I love how this fragrance DNA smells. It's got a really green, just kind of wet quality to it. It's aquatic, and it's got some coconut, some fig, and just some beautiful, just creamy green earthy notes in here. And for some reason, it just reminds me of being at like a real tropical resort. And I think the fig and the coconut just remind me of like a wet paper, or wet stone, or like a papyrus accord, and it just smells so good. I want to say I did about like 8 sprays of this stuff, so it's super strong in the opening, but you do get about, I want to say, like 6 hours or so of longevity. So it's really loud in the opening, but it does kind of start to dry down and sit a little closer to the skin. Just a really nice creamy green earthy fragrance, and I absolutely love how this one makes me feel in the heat. And so if you're out in the field or you're just out doing work in the summer heat, this one is going to be really refreshing and perfect for that. And that one is Is Elijah Eau. Next up, on Wednesday at my work, we had a 4th of July barbecue, and I went with this amazing cheapie. This one is from the house of Lattafa, and this one is Asad Zanzibar. Now this, if you love coconut, if you love sweet kind of cinnamon spice fragrances, you're gonna love this one. So if you like that Jean Paul Gaultier Le Beau fragrance DNA, this is going to get you in that ballpark, but I feel like it does take a little bit of a twist to that, and it deviates just a little bit. And I just absolutely love the vanilla and the creamy coconut in here. And you also get, I want to say, some iris and some other really interesting notes, but it just smells like a really nice tropical coconut water with some just like expensive suntan lotion or like some body butter. But man, this stuff smells really good for the summer heat, and it's perfect for that, you know, $20 to $30 mark. So if you want a really nice, refreshing, sweet, tropical fragrance that's not going to smell too fruity, it's more of just like that creamy, coconutty tropical vibe, this is going to be your pick. And that one is Lattafa Asad Zanzibar. And speaking of Jean Paul Gaultier, this fragrance, I picked it up and it was like falling in love again. This one right here, Jean Paul Gaultier La Mer Le Parfum. This is one of the best summer date night fragrances, or just date night fragrances in general. It smells so creamy. There's a beautiful bergamot, you have some lavender, and these really nice vanillic, spicy oriental notes without smelling too in your face or like a Middle Eastern spice. It's like a cinnamon, just creamy lactonic vibe, and oh my god, this stuff is to die for. I remember that same day I did try out the La Mer Elixir, the kind of gold bottle. I tried that on skin, and I also tried this tester in the store, and I still really love this fragrance, and so I decided to put it on my skin, and I wore it to bed. I also wore it to the next day, and I just kept spraying myself because I love this DNA. But if you want a really nice, creamy, just sexy vibe, if you're going on a date or you're hanging out with friends, get this one. Get La Mer Le Parfum. And the next day, because I sprayed it on my clothes, you know, I sprayed that Le Parfum, I just didn't want to change my clothes, but I ended up going with this fragrance. This one was Roja Elysium, and there's plenty of clones out there, but I still just love the original DNA. Such a beautiful, refreshing vetiver, grapefruit. You have some black currant, it's aquatic, it's green, and it just smells so refreshing and just modern. The vetiver in here takes a really creamy tone. I feel like there's also some patchouli in there that makes it smell really level, slightly earthy, but it really does just smell like a nice aquatic, just vetiver and musk fragrance, and it is so heavenly. So if you got some coin lying around, you want to get a nice summer niche fragrance, and maybe you haven't tried this DNA, check out Roja Elysium. It is a classic for a reason. There's tons of hype around it. And again, it's for a good reason, because it is a solid summer niche fragrance. And that one is Roja Elysium. And then in the afternoon, went over to some family and friends' house. You know how we do it. We're partying. We got the fireworks and everything. It's the 4th of July, and I decided to go with one of the fragrances that I had been wearing every 4th of July for the past 5 or 6 years, and I went with Penguin Premium Blend. This is the best $15 cheapie that you can get, and I even saw it at my local rack store for like 11 bucks on sale. This stuff is highly slept on if you don't own it already. This is an amazing, refreshing fragrance. You got some aquatic notes, you got lime, sea salt, some driftwood, and some mint in here, so it smells extremely calming, and it just really does put me at ease, and it reminds me of a tropical vacation. So I usually pack this one in my vacation bag. Same with Tommy Bahama's Saint Kitts. It's similar to that fragrance, but again, I do like how this one smells, and I feel like it just stands on its own as an amazing, amazing aquatic. And yeah, something about that lemon and the mint in there just almost give it a mouth-watering kind of melon vibe. And so it's also got some violet leaf, but cannot say enough good stuff about it. That one is Penguin Premium Blend. Friday morning, I decided to go with an oldie. It's a cheapie. It's been out, I think, since 2017, but I checked recently and you could still pick it up for about $20, and it is still worth every cent. This one is Bentley Momentum Unlimited, and I remember I got this one when I was still in college and just starting my collection in fragrances. But you have an amazing crisp green apple, you got some grapefruit in here, and you also got quite a bit of leather, vetiver, and some ambergris, so it's going to smell very modern. It's got a little bit of a peppery, salty quality from some of those woods in there, but it's very musky, it's creamy, and I absolutely love the cardamom, apple, and also the grapefruit. So those notes together make it smell super unique, and it does remind me just a little bit of some Abercrombie and Fitch fragrances, maybe a little bit like Fierce, like just a touch of that, but a little bit sweeter. And you also have almost like a graphite kind of earthy metallic vibe, but it is so good. Yeah, almost like a peppery wood combined with that really nice refreshing grapefruit, and this is a good cheapie. And that one is Bentley Momentum Unlimited. And then Friday afternoon, I decided to go with a really sweet fragrance. I wasn't really going to be out in the heat. I was really just staying at home watching TV, and I just wanted to smell really sweet, creamy, and comforting. This one is Lattafa Sehr. So this one is an amazing vanilla fragrance. It is a vanilla bomb, and since I first reviewed this fragrance, it is definitely mellowed out, and it's not as much of a slap in the nose as it originally was. Honestly, one of the main reasons that I bought this fragrance was because of the cap and the presentation. It is just wild. This is basically if Lattafa was like, how over the top can we get with our packaging? Let's see if we can just do the most and see how it performs. But this one reminds me a lot of Tom Ford's Vanilla Sex, and I actually called it before it was put on Fragrantica. Really proud of that. Yeah, this has that really nice salty vanilla vibe, and it almost reminds me of like a salty like vanilla cookie dough. So it's very gourmand. It's got vanilla absolute, as they were calling it, and I feel like it does that Tom Ford Vanilla Sex thing without smelling too Play-Doh-like and too weird, because I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. But this basically tones down all of those notes and it makes it more easy to wear, and I feel like this does it way, way better, and it's like 30 bucks, not the $400 that Tom Ford was charging. Get this one instead. That one is Lattafa Sehr. Now, Saturday morning, wash the car. I love wearing just tropical aquatic fragrances when, you know, it's hot outside, you're doing a little work, and I went with this one. This was a relatively new fragrance pickup. This is Lattafa Atlas, and I gotta say, this is one of the better versions of that Orto Parisi Mega Mare DNA. There are definitely a lot of fragrances out there that do this, but I think this one is one of my favorites. It's really hard to get that ratio right, especially with those kind of aquatic seaweed and cologne notes. If there's too much of it, it can smell too weird, it can induce headaches. But with this one, if you smell the atomizer, you may get a ton of that cologne and that seaweed vibe, but if you spray it on skin, it becomes a lot more smooth. So don't necessarily judge the tester strip or the atomizer. Try it on skin because it becomes a lot more smooth. It's ambery. You got some sea salt, some oceanic notes, and a really nice smooth lemon. So the ambergris smells really good, and it's also got some oak moss, which kind of balances everything out, and it just smells very, very unique without, you know, breaking the bank. And this one was about 25 bucks. So if you like that really interesting mouth-watering aquatic vibe, then this is going to be a perfect offering. And that one is Lattafa's Atlas. And then in the afternoon, I actually got a fragrance package that I was not expecting. I honestly didn't know if I would ever see the package. I got this one. This one was Ahmed Al-Maghribi's Kaaf, and this one I decided to save like 10 bucks or so and order from a new fragrance site that I'd never heard of before. I did not know it was going to be shipping from India, so it took about a month longer than it would have been if I just ordered it, you know, for that 10 extra bucks on eBay or Amazon. But you know, such is life. This one I was recommended multiple times by a lot of you guys, and I gotta say, I do love how this one smells. It's got a really nice kind of powdery lavender. It's got some aquatic sweetness, and it does remind me a lot of Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce. There are some differences. I feel like it tends to lean a little bit more powdery, a little bit more herbal in the dry down. You've got almost like a sage vibe from it, so it's a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more salty in the opening, but I think if you're looking for that vibe and you want something a little bit more premium smelling, then I think this is definitely a perfect alternative. And so, yeah, I've been rocking that one even a little bit this morning, but it's like a salty, aquatic, just well-rounded version of Fierce in my opinion. And that one is Ahmed Al-Maghribi's Kaaf. Now this morning, I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't need to be out in the heat, so I decided to pick out some of the more sweet fragrances. And this one is Swiss Arabian's Shaghaf Oud Tonka, and I love this fragrance so much. It's got such a beautiful, sweet, powdery, nutty vibe from the almond and also the tonka in here. It's got some white florals. I feel like there's some neroli, and it just smells like the perfect spring fragrance. It's got like the most perfect honey kind of neroli white floral vibe in there, but it just smells absolutely heavenly. And it does remind me of some feminine fragrances out there, but I think it definitely needs more unisex, and it's just a beautiful tonka and almond fragrance that I just cannot get enough of. It's creamy, it's luxurious smelling, and it lasts a hell of a long time. I sprayed this morning and I still smell it way over 6-7 hours later. So that one is amazing, and that's Shaghaf Oud Tonka. And for this evening, I decided to go with one of the most artistic smelling fragrances that I've ever smelled. It's one of my favorites, and it's actually the only fragrance that I own from Hermes. I've smelled many of them, but I only buy the ones that really speak to me and resonate with me. And this one is Jardin sur la Lagune. This DNA just blows my mind every time that I smell it. It is a feminine fragrance. It's marketed towards women, but I love how this one smells, and I think that anybody can really pull this off. This is one of the best sea salt amber floral fragrances that you can pick up. It's very salty and aquatic in the opening. You have a really nice white floral vibe from the magnolia and some of the other white florals in here, but it just smells so smooth and just unlike anything that I've ever owned. I remember the second that I smelled it in the store, I knew that I had to buy this fragrance, and it has not disappointed me since. Christine Nagel did an amazing job with this fragrance, and she's done a ton of fragrances for Hermes, also like Giorgio Armani. There are a ton of fragrances out there that she's creatively directed, but man, this one is a hit. It is an underrated fragrance, and if you have not checked out this fragrance, you know, go to a Sephora, check it out, or just blind buy it, because I think it's one of the best just sweet, floral, aquatic smelling fragrances that you'll ever smell. It just smells like good, fun times and just good memories. So check this one out. That one is Un Jardin sur la Lagune by Hermes. So there we have it, 14 fragrances that have been in my fragrance rotation for this past week. And again, if you want to make a recommendation for what I should wear next week, leave that down in the comments, because I can't wait to pick out some stuff that I haven't worn in a while. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm glad we made it another week, and I get to keep making these videos for you. So you guys stay safe out there. Remember that you can do it this week, and I'm rooting for you. I'm Eli with Common Sense, and until the next time, bye-bye.